And then, of course, fix your gaze, your drishti, in the darkness. Just gaze into the darkness. And just as listening to the sound of your mantra, once the attention is withdrawn sufficiently, would transition into light appearing in the darkness. Similarly, the same is the case with bhajan. You see, once your attention on the sound has become sufficient, then that sound of the shabad turns into light in the darkness, okay? We'll say a little bit more about these kind of things. Let me go make this call and see if the grace continues today. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I shall return. So we'll let the door get closed and all of that good stuff. So I had a cancellation for today, so I thought I'll come here and treat you to an extra hour of horror to complete the season. And of course, we gathered here today to practice for the most part. And that practice, I'm sure, will involve going into a lot of different dimensions and aspects of sadhana as such, you see. Again, to try to keep everyone focused on the purpose of the grace that is initiation, you see. Initiation, or dishka, as they call it, is a sign of grace has come into your life. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, of course, grace has done its part and brought us to the path. The only thing that remains to be seen is to what degree you are able to absorb the grace. You see, different people have different capacities for responding to and absorbing grace. And that fundamentally is based on your level of ignorance, you see, which all of us are here because of that. But the more profound your ignorance is, the less you are able to respond to the grace that is initiation. Are you with me? And there's levels of types of sadhakas or disciples who have different levels of capacity to absorb the grace. It's fundamentally a function of your buddhi, your intellect. Are you with me? If your intellect is still covered deeply in ignorance, then it's very difficult to absorb the grace that is diksha, or initiation. Are you all following my arguments? And so, as always, that ignorance is the ignorance of who and what you really are. And if you have a very low level of ability to absorb the impact and the descent of grace in the form of diksha, then you, in spite of having received such grace, you will still not, because of your ignorance, be able to overcome your misidentification with the body mind as being who and what you are. And so that means that you have to work harder at removing this ignorance, you see. The path is more long than difficult, hence the necessity for perseverance. Because folks like us, who buddhi is covered with a lot of ignorance, you see, ajnana, you see. It takes a long time to remove that ignorance, hence the necessity for perseverance and practice. Are you with me? So knowing this, hopefully you don't get discouraged. You see, you just have to go to work and start removing this ignorance. And that's the unique benefit and aspect of the buddhi, the intellect, so to speak. We have one more person. All right. course, it has the ability to discern the difference between things and so forth and so on, some form of discrimination, et cetera, and that's a benefit, of course. But the most important aspect of the intellect is that it can be trained to concentrate. Attention is an aspect of intellect. You see, because you can't discern the distinction between my body and Bilal body or Roger Veer's body without some attention. Are you with me? So attention is the key. And so the mind function that we call buddhi has to be trained, you see, trained. So here we're together today to consider the goal of meditation, you see, which is fundamentally to remove this cloud of ignorance that prevents the intellect from being able to function at its highest level, which is called vivek. Are you with me? The ability to pay attention deliberately, you see, to focus, and so forth and so on. And thus see the reflection of who and what you really are in your meditation. Are you with me? The mind is like a mirror. It can reflect, but it has to be clean in order to reflect your true self. And this is the goal of meditation, don't you think? So you have a beautiful day today. I hope you make full and right use of it. How many are staying overnight? Okay, so hopefully you have worked out an agenda for yourself. Considering the purpose of being here, what you're going to do with your time here. So forth and so on. So you each will be tasked to come up with your own agenda, you see. We've been gathering and talking about this thing for so many years. Hopefully by now you are mature enough to set for yourself an agenda, which aims at getting this work done. Fair enough? And don't hesitate if you have some question. That's what this extra hour is for. We can chop it up a little bit, you see, so that you can have as much clarity to work with the rest of the day. And some of you are leaving tomorrow. What time? 9 o'clock.
Wait, don't get breakfast?
I don't know. Well, whatever time, you know, but try to make full use of it. Are you with me? And again, I think everybody here is familiar with the famous statement from the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali Maharaj. We can really adjust it a little bit. He says yoga, but I prefer the term dhyana, meditation, and what meditation is about. And meditation, again, consistent with Patanjali observation, is really about chitta vritti nirodha, right? The cessation of the thoughts, particularly your thoughts that keeps you identified with the not self. Are you with me? That's why you sit and you withdraw your attention, you see, beyond these thoughts that constantly reinforce your own ignorance of yourself. Most of our thoughts is related to this body, mind, our emotions, etc., etc., etc. The more your thinking is in that direction, you're just digging a deeper hole. Are you with me? You're adding more ignorance to keep you misidentified with the body-mind. Are you following my argument? Yeah. Some of you taking the anger management workshop, if you recall, we talked a little bit about how we use self-talk, you see, to create our own anger responses to things, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's something like that. You see, you're doing a lot of self-talk in the form of your thinking. You see, you're talking to yourself. You're talking yourself into being identified with this body-mind, basically. Are you with me? Your whole inner dialogue is about that. Are you with me? Well, just like in anger, if you're constantly doing the self-talk to make yourself angry, you're just going to be an angry person. But you're doing it. Are you with me? It's not something happening from the outside. It's inside. You're doing it. Hmm? You're creating your own suffering. You're creating your own ignorance. Hmm? Are you all following me? It's a little subtle. You getting the point? Hmm? So that's what the goal of meditation is to bring that kind of self-talking in the form of your inner dialogue, what you call your thinking, you see, to an end, you see. And rather, if you're going to have self-talk, that self-talk should be in your best interest. Do that make sense? Mm-hmm. You sure? So that's the goal here. Chitta Vritti Naruddha. To bring all of this thinking you're doing related to being the not-self to an end. And because we are starting out with so much ignorance, it's going to take time, a lot of time. You see, it's going to be a battle, a struggle, ups and downs, you see. More fortunate disciples who have received this kind, who had already worked on themselves in this lifetime, or perhaps in a prior lifetime, that ignorance is not so strong. Are you with me? So with Diksha and the descent of grace, what they call Shaktipata, they get it, and they achieve the right concept of themselves. You see, it's very difficult to overcome this situation we're in when your whole concept of yourself is basically based on your identification with your body, mind, your emotion, your sensation, what you think, your beliefs, etc., etc. Are you with me? Very difficult, don't you think? Mm-hmm. So that has to be dealt with. So this wrong concept of self, or what the Buddha would call wrong view, you see, has to be overcome. Has to be overcome. And now there's many different means that people have been given access to accomplish that, you see. One of them is the scriptures, right? The study of the scriptures, you see. Not just academically, but to see them as telling you something about yourself, you see. You can acquire some jhana, some knowledge. Because the only thing that can remove ignorance is knowledge, don't you think? Mm-hmm. But sometimes, of course, the person is suffering from such a heavy amount of ignorance that the intellect, you follow me, cannot even understand the scriptures. So they have to be taught to the person. Are you with me? But then again, even when the teachings are augmented by being reduced to instructions, you still don't get it. Are you with me? Makes it very difficult, you see. That's what satsang is all about. That's why the mystics talk so much about the importance of satsang, right? Because satsang is the last resort, so to speak, where our gurus, you see, they come and they actually sit down and they teach us. You see, what they call upadesha. You see, they teach us, they instruct us, you see. Because without that, we'll never get it. Are you with me? So satsang is important, having our cooler meetings and so forth and so on. All that is very useful. Are you with me? Helps remove the ignorance. And that's provided you don't fall into a pitfall. You all know what that's about. Did everybody get their pitfalls? No. Did you send them to everybody below? Did you send out the pitfalls to everybody? You didn't get my email? That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, get a hold of the pitfalls. I thought I had text you asking you to send it to everybody that is doing an overnight. You didn't get it.
When did you send out a video?
I sent the video that you did.
You didn't send the pamphlets?
No.
That's all right. We're not going to worry. about it right now. But you have to kind of get a sense of where you're at now. Are you with me? Any journey begins with where you are at now, don't you think? And so those of you who are overnighting, you know, you need to find a dry space out here somewhere or in your room, so wherever you can have silence and solitude and really start taking a look at it. There's so many other things to be said about all of this here. Of course, time is of essence. But I wanted to kind of just remind you what this is all about. You see? One of the pitfalls is that we come to the path with the intention of gaining something to make our life more hunky-dory at the level of our ego. That shit is not what the goal of being on the path is about at all. You see? Quite the opposite. You see? The function of the teachings, the gurus and sabas and so forth is to destroy your ego, to annihilate your ego, and that will hurt because you're so attached to it. Are you with me? But you don't know that that very attachment to your own egoic way of being is the cause of all of your suffering, every last ounce. It can only add up into a life based entirely on fear. You see? It is interesting. How many remember reading the Astravaka Gita? Okay, good. And you know, once King Janaka achieved his thing, right? And Astavraka said to him, upon his attaining that recognition of his true nature, so forth and so on, he didn't say, "Oh King, congratulations, you have become enlightened." He didn't say that. I said to King Janak, "Oh King, you know, you have become fearless. This is moksha. This is liberation. Fearless." You see? And if you look at your life, and if you look at it honestly, you are driven entirely out of fear of the perseverance and the continuation of who you think you are, not realizing who you think you are based upon pure, unadulterated ignorance. You see? And that is what must be overcome. And you're holding it in place due to this thinking, your own thinking process, your own self-talk and all of that kind of stuff. It's got you trapped. You see? So you must consider this argument and make right use of the time that you have set aside today, and for those of you staying overnight tonight, to get into this, to try to recognize this, because you have to recognize it. It's not something that can enter you from the outside. It's something that happens as a result of your own inner work, manana. You see, it's what in Vedanta they call it, manana. You see, reflection, deep consideration. It has to come within. You see, and what is the purpose of manana? It is to arrive at a point of conviction. You see, conviction comes from within. It's not my job to come here and try to convince you at all. You have to be responsible for your own conviction. Are you with me? And that is only the result of manana. You see? And it has to be engaged in. You see? There has to be that experience of conviction. And upon that conviction, you now will start developing the right view of yourself. Are you with me? There has to be something like an epiphany, an acha moment, you see, a eureka, so to speak. And you become mentally convicted. You still haven't achieved the end of the goal yet, but at least you operating out of right view. Are you with me? Then once you have right view, just as the Buddha said, then it goes into right intentions, changes your actions now, you see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. never heard any of this before? You look stunned to me, huh? It's like, Bhagwan, what the hell are you talking about? Right? But hopefully some of this refresh your memory of some of the conversations we have had, and so forth and so on. You see, theories are not equal to conviction. See, you can work off of the theory, the logical conclusion that I am not this body, et cetera, but it's just a logical conclusion. It's not conviction. Are you with me? It's not a conviction. And so I offer you something to reflect upon, to manana while you're here today. And really take your time with it. And everybody's going to have to spend different amounts of time. Are you with me? Because you all have your own unique levels of ignorance. You see, some are more ignorant than others here in the room. Are you with me? But we're all in the same room because we all are suffering from ignorance. You see, some a little mild, some a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. You follow me? And so consider this. Are you might want to write this down, because some of you don't have any attention. Okay? So help yourself. I'll give you a minute. Write it down. Spend some time with it. Somebody can put it in their cell phone and text it to those who don't have the paper and pens and so forth. Share with one another. All right. Hold on.
I gotta get my phone back on.
Okay. And do it with all seriousness. It's a matter of fear or fearlessness. It's a matter of life or death. It has to be approached seriously, not casually. You have to bring the right attitude to it. You mustn't make it into a mere belief, but to really nail it. And so what there is to be considered here today, this is the foundation, as you unpack it and spread it out, is are you a body, a gross physical body having the experience of awareness, or are you awareness having the experience of a gross physical body? Consider this. Yes. Are you a gross physical body that is having the experience of awareness, or are you awareness having the experience of a gross physical body? And when I say a gross physical body, I mean to include all of the other things associated with that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are you with me? That's where you got to unpack it from. Which? What view are you operating out of? You see? Because if you're operating out of the view that you are fundamentally a gross physical body, right? That is having the experience of awareness. Are you with me? It's as if your body knows that you exist as awareness. Then the road to success on the spiritual path is blocked. It ends there. You see? You will not really engage in any serious way in any sadhana, because you believe that You're this gross physical body. Hmm? Are you all following my argument?
Yes.
It's sort of like what Harriet Tubman encountered when she was on her mission to liberate the slaves. You see, if you don't know you're a slave, then there is no motivation to escape from it. It just isn't. Why would it be? There's no interest in that, no motivation. Are you with me? Because there's nothing that has happened inside of you to recognize your true condition. You see? Are you following my argument?
Yes.
Hmm? It's sort of like that. Not exactly like that, but sort of like that. Hmm? So there'll be no motivation. You see? Sadhana and all of the auxiliary practices that is associated with sadhana will not be your priority. You see? You have really no real interest in that. Are you with me? At all. There must be the recognition, and the clear recognition of who and what you really are and what you are not. And you have to go get that for yourself. The scriptures are designed to give you all kinds of information about all of that. You see? Many methodologies offered, Drisiyambhavika, you see, the Panchadasis and so forth and so on, you see, Trayavasta, Kavika. I mean, it's full of methods for you to practice this kind of manana and deep reflection. Are you with me? When you say, theoretically, I'm only consciousness itself, right? Well, that's a theoretical statement that you're making. You don't act like you only consciousness itself. Theory don't work at all. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Right? You see? I mean, I listening to your cooler meeting and you see I'm only consciousness, you see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see, you parrot what the scriptures have said, blah, blah, blah. But you don't act like you only consciousness itself. You act just like you're the body and you're the mind and not that which is aware of both. True?
True.
I'm doing so far. Yeah, I'm terrifying you. I'm making you. Yes, beloved.
Master, what would that look like?
That's what you have to find out. It can't be told. You have to actually go and do that work. Are you with me? You see, you have to go do that work because you can't know it otherwise. It's like it's subjective. Are you with me? Are you with me? It's purely a subjective thing. I can't tell you whether you are hungry or not. Only you can know that. Are you with me? Because only you have access to your subjective dimension. Are you with me? So it's a very subjective thing. Manana is subjective. It's a very subjective process. See? Contemplation, reflection, introspection, those are all very subjective phenomena. But it has to be engaged, right? Right? So you can't be given the answer, you see. That is all consistent with an old proverb that says something like, the truth that can be told and spoken is not the truth, by definition. You see? Because it goes beyond the limitation of language and so forth and so on. Are you with me? The mistake in being a victim of believing that because you are told something, you therefore know it, has to be overcome. That's a pitfall. You see? It's a pitfall. You know, I mean, you can memorize all the teachings and then you will have the illusion that that's your knowledge. That's not your knowledge. Because it doesn't show up. You see? anything that you think you know about spirituality that is not grounded in your own first-hand experience, that's just your imagination and pure theory. Are you with me? It's a pitfall. And that is wrong. Are you with me? The process is tight. Are you with me? It's tight. So manana is this opening of the way, as our ancestors called it. It's the Kemetic mystic, it's the opening of the way in. Are you with me? It is not going out. You see, the way out of your suffering is to go in. Are you with me? Not to go out. And you have to do that. That's your work. You see? And either you will do it or you will not do it. It's really your choice. And so, what else can I say about it? How are we doing on time here? We got a little bit more time before we get down to work here. Now, a couple of things more about meditation itself. And I think we're pretty safe in here. We have no outsiders. Okay, good. So, sort of attention, right, is the key to meditation. Right? Now, the mantra is one of the mental disciplines. You know, doing a mantra is a form of mental discipline. Are you with me? And what you give your attention to with the mantra is the sound of the mantra. Are you with me? You see, you have to listen to the sound of the mantra. More like when you chant it, you all recall it, the time of initiation. At least here in the house, it was recommended that you go somewhere in some silence somewhere and repeat your mantra out loud until you can feel it and hear it and store it in memory. You can remember how it sounds. Are you with me? So when you're doing your mantra, you're not just sitting there repeating mere words with no attention whatsoever. That's usually what we do. You're just repeating the mantra and no attention, because there's no sound to hold your attention to it. Are you with me? You're not hearing the mantra. Are you with me? And so your simran, you see, your japa has to be based on listening. You see? Listening to the mantra. You see? You all have wrote it out in books and so forth, so all of that work should have been handled. Are you with me? And you're just listening to the mind repeat the mantra. Because that's what you do anyway. You listen to your mind. You're listening to all that bullshit that is running through your head. You're just listening to your own inner chatter, your own inner dialogue. You hear it. You hear thoughts. You hear words. Don't you? Then you should hear. You should listen. Are you with me? And that's a game changer, right? Because if you sit in meditation and all you're doing is listening to your mind, right? And that's what happens. You get caught up to hearing the mind chatter, and your tension come out, and then back and forth. Right? And that's necessary in the beginning, but that's part of the training of attention. Are you with me? And you can do that. Otherwise, there would be no point to all of this stuff. But you have to listen to the mantra. You have to listen to it. In ancient tradition, you know, the mantra is given to you in your ear, you know. And I don't know, I think I did a little bit of that with those that were present. Those who wasn't present, well, you see. But at the time of Diksha, the Guru gives us the mantra in our ears so we can hear it and listen to it. You see? Listen to it. You see? And repeatedly listening to it. That's true repetition. Repeatedly listening to the sound of the mantra. You see? That's what enables you to get in the habit of listening to the sound. Are you with me? To Shabad. Shabad is something you listen to, and it gives you more concentration, more withdrawal. Well, the purpose of the mantra is to be listened to until you have developed that ability to listen, and you automatically catch the sound. Are you with me? Are you all with me?
Yeah.
It's not a mechanical process, is what I'm saying. Are you with me? It's something that requires your attention, and the only way that you will be able to give the attention is you have to hear it. You see? Attention. Hearing is a form of paying attention. True?
True.
True?
True.
Hearing and seeing, sooted and knitted. That's 83% of your attention is involved at that time. Seeing, hearing. Seeing and hearing. So the knitted is simply gaze into the darkness. And that's it. You see, Maharaj used to say that just when you close your eyes, you're already there. You see? Already there. And just gaze, sitting in the darkness. How many remember at the Kula house where we did entering into the darkness? Did you all remember that?
Yeah.
Some of you old heads remember that, right?
Yep.
And that comes out of the Vijana Vedava. That's a Shava piece of literature. But they have 112 ways to do this. So when I say there's different techniques, I really mean there is different techniques. You see my point, 112 of them. At least as they have been identified in Kashmir Shaivism. But the point here is that one of those exercises, when you just go into a place that is completely dark, right? Like the sadhu goes into a completely dark cave. You're up there. You know, it's complete darkness. You see? And in that particular exercise, you are to just sit in that darkness with eyes open, and that's it. Just keep your attention, keep your eyes open. You see? And the rest happens. Are you with me? And then when you come out of the cave, you have a clear impression of the darkness, and you walk around in broad daylight seeing darkness only. It's amazing practice. But you all get my point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, similarly, if you just sit in the darkness with eyes closed, you see, and just listen to the mantra, you see. That's how to do this thing called Simran. You just sit comfortably and just sit in the darkness listening. You see? As that attention becomes more withdrawn, you see, then the sound turns into light. You see? Not now, Mukherjee. Wait. Listen to me right now. You see? It turns into light automatically. And so forth and so on. You all getting the point?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Now, some Methodists say, well, look at this, find a particular point, hold it in the darkness at this point. Well, Maharaji, quite honestly, was not a fan of that. He says, you know, then your attention is constantly going out trying to find a point in the darkness. Don't do that. Just sit. It's already there. You see? Right? You just close your eyes. That's like cutting the lights off in this room. You're just in the darkness, listening. You follow me? Listen. How many remember the Brahm Kumaris that were downtown? You remember? Okay.
We went there.
You went there, right? Okay. And in their meditation, they have a dark room, but with a red light on. You know, it's interesting. But they'll just sit in the darkness and do it, you know. So there's different methods. As I said before, in the Vijana Vedava, they have 112, but I am not suggesting that you just go pick this thing. Are you with me? You've been given a method that is as valid and work as well as any other method. Just do it. You see? All right? And just become a game changer, right? And so once you're able to have the right attitude, then you would approach your meditation. You'll run to your meditation like those slaves that recognized they were slaves, ran to the north, fearlessly for freedom. Are you with me? Because until and unless that is done, you're not really free at all. You see? At all. Now, let's, just for the sake, is there a switch in this room? Are we able to control the lights?
They're over there.
What is it?
How to sync.
Okay. We'll just tap it down just a little bit. You keep your eyes open.
You want to let the shades down?
No, not yet.
Are you going to repeat? Are you going to say the mantra?
Yeah, you can take the camera over.
That ain't work.
Oh, that's good enough then. Thank you, Virataji.
Look on the other side.
All right. I'll let you guys get back to your seats. All right. And so everybody know their mantra. How many don't even know their mantra? Just be making no shit, right? Oh, God. So, and we have done this in the past, so this is nothing new, right? Where we collectively recite the mantra, right? So you can hear it. Are you with me? You can hear the mantra, you see? And listen to it, right? And that leaves an impression so that when you're alone in your meditation today, you're just listening to the same mantra. You're just listening, you see? You know what it sounds like, and you're listening to how it sounds. Are you with me? And nothing else. So, are you ready?
Yes.
And when you're doing your mantra, it's the result of you not listening to the mantra, right? Because when I'm listening to Luther, I don't even notice a fly in the damn room. Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Because it absorbs your attention. It absorbs your attention. You know, it cuts through. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Right? It gets around all that mental garbage. Are you with me? Right? So even Clarence Thomas, if you think he's not black, you put on some Jane Brown. I guarantee you that he is. You understand what I'm saying? That's the beauty of it. That's why songs, the poetry is sang. You know? It's really interesting in the Aboriginal cultures, you see, down in Australia, among the Aboriginal people, and their system was such that they whole creation story is based on the universe that came into being. It was sang into being, you see. In Christianity, the beginning was the word. Word is a sound. Are you with me? Big bang, sound, you see? Brahman and Shabbat has been an entrenched part of Hindu philosophy. It's a sound, the vibration. You see? When you hear the sound, that's a vibrate. It brings you in sync with that. Are you with me? Puts you in order. You all understand?
Yes.
So that is what is to be practiced here. By those of us who are here now and those of us who will be left over tonight. And so I'll let you spread out now and get your seats together and try to put distance between yourselves so that do whatever you have to do. And we'll have a little bit of practice.
Can we get on the 5-minute break?
Yeah, go pee-pee and all of that good stuff. You know, And then we'll try to save just a little time after the wrap up. Not so comfortable that you'll go to sleep. And so as you practice and your attention comes off of the sound of the mantra, just bring it back to it. You see? Don't fret about it. It's training. Are you with me? And it takes a long time for, depending upon the degree of ignorance we are suffering from, to get the mind trained. So persevere. When you sit, once you find your posture and your balance, try not to move on that first wave of discomfort. There's always a little bit of discomfort that will arise even once you get centered. Try not to move from that point because if you move, you'll move throughout your whole practice. Of course, keep your head and spine erect, no bend in the neck. Don't bend at the waist, so forth and so on. So all of these things you're familiar with, I thought I would just remind you. So, let's see here. Thought I had a watch.
Put it on the table.
Did I put it on the
Oh,
table?
here it is.
We want to forget about time.
Oh, here, it-
I got Bilal's watch. Is this my watch?
that's your watch.
What are you doing with my watch?
You left it over
On the
here.
other table. We got two tables this time.
We got two tables?
That's what happened.
Oh, okay. Take about a few minutes once the bell goes off to get situated in your posture and then lock. And then, of course, fix your gaze, your drishti, in the darkness. Just gaze into the darkness. And just as listening to the sound of your mantra, once the attention is withdrawn sufficiently, would transition into light appearing in the darkness. Similarly, the same is the case with bhajan. You see, once your attention on the sound has become sufficient, then that sound of the shabad turns into light in the darkness, okay? We'll say a little bit more about these kind of things. Let me go make this call and see if the grace continues today. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I shall return. Let's see. So, we got a little bit more time. Thank you, Mukherjee. And so, we can continue. You can let your shades up, if you can, if you like. We're
I'll
gonna,
let Summer Debbie do it.
who?
Summer Debbie, no, she's.
So, Acha. So we can spend the remainder of the time, and I think I might be good to about, you said it takes me about 20 minutes to go from here. I'm gonna meet at 6 instead, so 20 minutes.
You gonna leave at 6?
No, I'm gonna meet at 6 at the office.
So it comes back.
I got about, what, 25, 30 minutes? No,
About
about 40
About
minutes.
30 minutes,
Okay, that's good.
30 minutes.
Oh, look at that one. You better not tell on me. She's a spy in the house. You see? All right, so, we can have a little bit of open discussion pertaining to any kind of agenda you rascals may have for yourself personally for tonight, and a few comments there that may help you. Anything that you feel will help you make it through the night in a way that is going to be beneficial for you, and so forth and so on. Or for that matter, on anything that has been said thus far, you see? So, floor is open. I think hopefully you guys got a better understanding of the philosophy and process of japa and simran, et cetera, et cetera. Keep in mind that the benefits of this meditation, this sadhana, goes, or let me put it another way, will benefit you even as you move through the remaining bardos of this lifetime. Are you with me? What to say of after death? One of the things that is inevitable and awaits all of us is that, of course, you're going to grow older. Some of us are growing older right before your very eyes. And with that process comes old age, comes sickness, dying, and death. And the practice itself gives you the kind of fortitude and resiliency to go through those stages that still await most of us here with peace of mind. You see? With the ability to transcend the ordeal that is associated with each of those movements. Are you with me? Because if you are sick and you don't have peace of mind, what makes you think it's any way possible you will have peace of mind while dying? And even more remarkable at the time of your death. That's not how that's going to work. Okay? So the benefits are right now. You see, as you're moving through all of these things. You see? The periods and stages of where there's loss in your life, not so much of your bodily health, but you done lost something or someone, some relationship. How will you go through the loss of relationships with peace of mind? You see? Meditation, you see, gives you that. In addition to all of the other good things we've been talking about, right? It begins then to give you, to practice having peace of mind right here, right now. You see, as you go through this stage called life. Does that make sense to you, right? The pain in the body that you experience, you see, during your meditation, right? With persistence, right? And commitment, you're able to transcend that. Are you with me? There's many people, professionals especially, soldiers and those kind of guys and gals, right, who can transcend bodily pain. Are you with me? Athletes are able to transcend bodily pain. They're able to get into a zone. Are you with me? Where the pain does not stop them from being able to perform, correct? So it's not such a miraculous thing. You know, there's no barrier to you developing that same kind of humanicity right now, right? Because believe me, when you get sick and you will have your discomfort, right? You're gonna need something to hold on to as you go through that process, don't you think? And a book is not gonna get you there. You see, and visitors while you're going through the dying stage is not gonna help you. Are you with me? So you need something just to deal with what's coming down the road, right? That's why the mystic oftentimes refer to the process as dying while living, so that you learn how to do this thing, because you are going to die. You see, especially that is who you presume to be, this body, that sense of me, that's out of here. And it's going to go through a lot of pain on its way out the door. Are you all feeling it? Would this make sense to you? Right? So if you can't find any other reason for meditating, I suggest that might be good. You see my point? Maybe you can accept that as a sufficient reward for the time, energy, and attention you spend, right? And that's not only pertains to the body, but the whole body-mind complex, the adhara. You see, all of that is on its way out. Just eyesight, your senses are going to go. You see, your hearing is going to get bad, your eyesight is going to get bad, and that's going to prevent you from engaging in a lot of activities that you were enjoying prior to that. Are you with me?
Yes.
Your memory is going to go. You see my point? Your ability to even think is going to wane. Because all of those are tattoos, those are elements, they decay. Are you with me? How you going to handle that? You see, bodily death ain't no piece of cake here. Are you with me? Sickness, it's not a piece of cake here, all right? Rani Kumari was telling me she went to see Paw, you see, right? And you might have shared with him some aches and pains and sickness, and Paw with a cat-like grin told her, you're gonna get sick again. Right. No matter how sick you are now, it ain't over. You're gonna get sick again. And then you're gonna enter into the dying stage. And this thing will fall apart. The mystics have likened it to being eaten alive. You ever see those animals in nature where the tiger run down the buffalo and just start eating them, right? And you hear the buffalo screaming, howling in pain. Yeah. Well, it's going to happen to you too. You see, death is going to eat you up, eat you alive. What you going to do, boo? I suggest. Yes, beloved.
How long will that last?
What did you say? I
How long? How long will it
How
last?
long will it last? It depends on the illness, you see, because your karma already has your illness just waiting on you. I know you might be trying to run from it by eating right, sleeping right, taking your vitamins, and blah, 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 blah. But your karma got your death waiting on you. And you don't know what that's going to be. For instance, the suffering that's going to be based on the illness that is going to take you out of it. For instance, if it's cancer, right? Okay, well, stage 1, 2, 3, once you hit 4, you're out of here. And that is one of the most painful forms of death that medical professionals have seen. The pain is so severe that they cannot even mediate it with morphine. Are you with me? Now, what is very interesting, they discovered that the only way to help a patient deal with that level of pain in the body, since you can't medicate it, because the amount of morphine will kill them. Are you with me? They teach them mindfulness meditation. Interesting. You see? Apanasati, the basic form of Buddhist meditation, by focusing the mind on the breath. You see? They takes the thinking off of the body to some extent and put it more on the breath. You see? And then there's stages of that, levels of it. There's about 12 levels of Apanasati practices, you see? The next, because after all, the breath is still in the body, but they take care of all of the sensations, then they go to the emotions, then they go to, you see, the mental, so forth. It's staggered. So that you've seen pictures, I'm sure, or heard of those kind of phenomena where a Buddhist monk sits down in this Times Square somewhere over there, they douse him with alcohol, strike a match, and you don't even flinch. It is possible with practice. See, none of this is possible with fantasizing and hoping. That ain't going to give you that kind of siddhi. Are you with me? All right? That's practice, you see? So, but the point is that if your karma has scheduled you for cancer, I suggest you don't miss no meditation and you get serious about it, you see? And don't take the chance that, oh, well, I know they would kill me with cancer, Bhagwan. You see, I'm going to have an easy, comfortable death. Don't console yourself with that nonsense. Are you with me? You don't know what kind of death. Just be prepared for the worst. Are you with me? That's the best thing to do when you don't really know what happened. Prepare for the worst. True? All right? Or it may be diabetes, sadama. You know what I mean? And that's also a painful way out. All right? But even if it's none of those things, because, you know, death has options with many different ways to get you.
Unlimited options.
Yeah, unlimited options. You see. It could be anything. It could be an accident. You see, you're in an airplane, losing altitude, you're hurling toward the ground, right, and you ain't prepared for none of that, physically or emotionally, right? Not only are you going to lose your mind, you're going to lose your body too simultaneously. It won't be gradual. Are you with me? True? Terror. Right? Or you can get murdered. You follow me? That can happen too, right? So it depends. You know, it depends. But I will tell you this, something that you're doing right now is going to create the illness that's going to kill you. It's not something already, happened suddenly. No. It is happening right now. There is something that you are doing with your life at the level of your body, mind, that's going to take you out of here. Pick and choose. But you're not going to avoid it. Are you with me? It might have started when you were 10 years old somewhere, right? Right? Like me eating all that sugar, you know what I mean? That might have been a setup for diabetes. Who knows? We don't know how this thing goes. We can only speculate, but it's just speculation. The only thing you know, you're going, right? All the drinking you did when you were young, okay, now you have a failure liver. Are you with me? And sometimes the order is not always body, then mind. No. Sometimes the mind goes first, then the body follows. Right? So first you lose your mind. Are you with me? Then you lose. You don't like that, Bob? Yeah, because you've all been thinking, oh, the body gonna go first, my mind gonna be the last thing they go. No. I'm a therapist, let me tell you. I see a lot of people whose mind goes first. And that's also a terrible thing to witness. Are you with me? Alzheimer, are you with me? Right? Your mind may go first. You see? It's not what you think it is. And all of it requires some kind of ability, you see? Because it's hard to die with a peaceful mind when your mind has already died before the body died. True?
Yeah.
True?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You see? So, it's something, you see? It's a matter of life and death. Hmm? So meditation gives us an advantage to be prepared for that, you see? And just as ancestors have always pointed out, if you have not factored this kind of death into the way you've been doing your life in the past, I highly suggest you factor it in starting today, for sure. No fooling, no kidding. Because where that has not been done, you're going to be in some serious trouble here. Because that's the only thing that's hurt. And think about that. And I can understand why we push out this whole notion of not being this body, because this body is everything for us. Are you with me? And just the mere thought of its dying terrifies us. You see? It's a deep-seated fear. Because you don't want this to go. And it's going. Whether you want it to go or not. You see? So this identification with body, mind as being who and what you are is a raw road. And you will never be ready for it if you have not factored that reality into the way you do in your life. Are you with me? Never. You see? And if you're burdened with too much ignorance, if the buddhi is still covered with too much ignorance, you will live like a fool. You see, you will see people dying and getting sick, having cancer, diabetes, killed in accidents, being murdered all around you, and you'll be walking around in a gleeful state of delusion thinking this not going to happen to you. Are you with me? It's like that, you see. So people took COVID shots and then still died of COVID. You understand what I'm saying? It's something. It is something. So you must factor that into the way you do in life. You must factor your mortality at the level of ego into the way you do in your life. And if you don't do that, then you will never be prepared for that which is inevitable and uncertain. Are you with me? So meditation is dying while living, getting this thing done now. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
It's like that, you see. If you're trying to wait to the last minute to get ready, then you will have the same outcome as the person that knows they're going to fire him when they reach a certain age, being broke and didn't save no money. You're going to be eating dog food, right? So it's the same kind of fallacy. Are you with me? You didn't plan for it, which is remarkable. You plan for all other kinds. Your planning is that you'll be healthy in this body, and this body will persist. If they come up with the right medication, they'll be able to preserve it and reboot it after I lose breath and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? Our kind of fantasies, right? That's what the ego eye prepares for. Immortality at the level of the body. And personhood, I might add. This person that you feel you are now, that's a one-shot phenomenon. That does not reincarnate. That don't come no more. That's over with. So you can't be on the path thinking that the I you identify with is going to be coming. That I is not going to become. It's going to be nullified. You don't understand. This personahood, this person that you feel you are, that's over with. That's never going to happen again, ever. All right? That is not going to get enlightened. That will not survive death at all. Not only will that not survive death, none of this other stuff you got is going to survive. You see what I'm saying? It's a real hell of a thing when you stand back, right? I was looking around the house. In fact, last week, I'm saying all this stuff. I said, all this garbage, you know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna need all this stuff, all these clothes and all this stuff. And Joyce is still buying more. I can't make her understand. Ain't nobody gonna want this stuff. This is garbage. Ain't none of this going nowhere. You follow what I'm saying? And what is worth, ultimately you become a slave to whatever you are possessing. And that's the truth. Because now all your time and energy and attention is spent on taking care of my stuff. And your stuff is going in the garbage heap. And this body stuff that is yours, that's going in the garbage too. We call them cemetery. But they're all going in the garbage. Can't nobody use your body after you dead. Nobody even want to be around your body after you dead, except the animals. Then you become food again. You're back into the cycle of life. You see? You become food again. Right? Food again. You see? So now the wolf and the coyote and the lion can eat you, your dead body. There's no resistance from you. You see my point? In Buddhist tradition, one of the rituals that is performed when the body dies, when you die, you see? Because when I say body and you, that's the same thing. You know what I mean? They're synonyms, right? So don't forget that. They take that dead body up on top of a mountain, right? And they slaughter it. They slaughter this thing. Bust the brains out of the head so that the animals can eat. They consider that a meritorious death. Are you with me? That you became food for somebody. You see? The egoic way of life and living, that's a useless way. See my point? It's useless out of life. So these are the reality teachings, you see? And they're part of what these gurus come and do with us because we're so ignorant. You have to understand, our buddhi is nowhere near clean enough to even have an ounce of avika. After we get initiated, right, this feeling that I'm a body does not change at all. It continues. Have you noticed? That's because of the ignorance, you see? We're loaded with this stuff, right? The Adinkarans, right, who have done work in this life or a past lifetime, when they get this, it's instant. There is no sadhana required. Instantly they see it, you see? When Astravaka tells King Janaka, right, Natwam deho nate deho, right? Bhokta kata navabhavan, right? Nirapeksha, right? Sukhamkara. Janaka get it. When you and I were told, you're not the body, nor the body is yours, in one and out the other. Right? It didn't make a damn bit of difference in how we were doing our life. Is that about right? True? When they say you're not the enjoyer, you're not the doer, did that stop any of our anxiety about what I got to do? None. True? True. And when it said that you're just pure consciousness itself, you are untouched, right? Therefore be happy, made not a bit of difference. I was depressed 2 weeks later. True? Yeah. Is that true? Yes. Right? So that gives you an ideal of where we're at on this scale of things. So there's no grounds for you arrogating to yourself. Nothing that is spiritually sophisticated or even close to the Adinkaran. Are you with me? Yes. We're not Adinkarans, right? You see? We're going to have to do some work here. And even those who have done maybe not quite as much as that Adinkaran of the first order, like a Janaka, right? But have done a little work, right? Well, when they're told, right, they don't actually get it right away, but they have the ability to enter into the manana and the mental disciplines, and they get it. You see my point? It might be a year later, 2 months later, but they get it, right? And for them, none of this stuff that we have to do is necessary either. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah. then there's more lower levels. I don't want to depress. But the point I'm making is that at the time of initiation, when you're given the truth, you see my point? Either from the scriptures or from the teachings that we get from our guru, it makes no difference at all. Your feeling of being the body, mind, self remains untransformed. And that's the truth. And therefore, we have to really understand that and go to work. That takes humility. Are you with me? It takes conviction. You see? It takes tenacity. I mean, it takes everything of a man and woman to acknowledge that and then go to work. Are you with me? And get out of that disposition of somebody doing your work for you. It's not going to happen. Just as nobody can eat for you, breathe for you, they can't do no work for you. You see? They can give you advice and point you in the right direction, but you got to go do the work. You see? And depending on where you are at in your stage of life, that's what, then. Yes, beloved.
I got a question about manana.
Manana, yes, beloved.
How do you get to the depths of the manana? And don't you have to have like a certain mindset? Like in meditation, the mind runs. Same thing for manana. You still have to bring it back. So I just need just a little bit.
Yeah, I think you already hit it. You have to keep bringing it back. Because the mind, usually with that kind of, and again, it's buddhi, right? The buddhic function of the mind, you see, that concentrates and so forth. The dharana, right? Initially, if depended upon the condition and the state of the buddhi function, if there's too much ignorance in there, right, it won't have enough interest in the manana to cut through. Are you with me? Because you'll notice that even when you're trying to do manana, your attention will run off to the same thing. It'll run off onto the facets that make up your operating sense of self, right? You'll start thinking about the body. Oh man, I'm hungry. I need to get me something to eat, right? Or you'll start thinking about something you're attached to. Damn, I need to go home and do a load of clothes. I need to go get my car washed. I mean, it'll go back to some facet of your sense of self. Are you with me?
Yes.
Automatically, right? And so you have to keep bringing it back. So meditation, like manana, is really about withdrawing your attention off of your facets of self. Make a note. You see? Because there are many different facets of your sense of self, right? It's not just the body, it's your beliefs, it's your value, it's what you think, it's your experiences, it's your memories, it's all of that, right? All of that together, you sort of creates a kind of sense of who and what you feel you are. You see, you've had 25,000 hours of parenting and conditioning that you have incorporated into your sense of self. You see, your skin color. You know, it's not just I'm the body, I'm black. See, so you add black to the body, or white to the body, or what have you. I'm a female, or I'm a male, so you add that to the body. You see, the body itself has many facets that are incorporated into your very sense of being this body in the first place. Is that about right?
Yes.
Right? That's just one facet of the sense of self. There's other emotional, right? Your likes, your dislikes, your ragas, your devasas, right? That too is a facet of your ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Just keep cutting.
There you see, you keep chopping away. But it's about withdrawing your attention off of the variety and the number of facets of ego that the mystics are talking about. This is Chitti Variti Naroda. Are you with me? This is the tapping down of the thoughts, because that's where your attention and thinking is going, isn't it? So you have to withdraw that. Well, perhaps not as radically as in the case of meditation, but certainly in manana there has to be that same thing, right? You see, and even deep contemplation, if you're in deep contemplation on anything, right? It could be on your cell phone or your iPad, you're in deep contemplation, you don't even know your legs done went dead. Because your attention is in this thing. Are you with me? Or a book, or a piece of music, or a television program, right? It could be anything, right? But the point is that it has to be off of you,
So the key is the attention,
right?
just like meditation.
Yeah, in that sense, right? It's a real strange thing, beloved. You know, again, these words that I'm using, it's not exactly capturing it. You know, you have to kind of get the knack of it. Maharaji is saying, so you have to get the knack of this. See, something you have to get the knack of. Well, how do I get the knack of anything? It's over practice and practice and practice and practice. And then suddenly I get the knack of a thing. Are you with me? You get the hang of it. Are you with me? And that's a different thing, you know. We know as boys that, you know, we playing basketball, you know, we shooting with the ball, just missing all, ain't even in the damn black. But eventually we keep playing the game and we get the knack of it. So we can feel when there's all net coming next. We know what that feels like when the ball leaves the hand. Are you with me? Well, you wouldn't know that yours was 10. Yeah, that's right. But you knew when that hit that thing, you knew, oh boy, that's a good one. You get the point. You get the point. Right? So you get the knack of it. I mean, you all, even as women, go through those kind of parts to what we go through as men. I mean, you know when you got got your face made just right. You know what I mean? You get the feel of it. You know when the dress is holding you just like you, when you can feel it. You know you looking good, right? You can feel it. You get the knack of it, right? But through practice. You see, when you first started wearing your high heels, you know, you almost broke your damn ankles, you know. But then you get the knack of that, striding with it. You can dance with them heels on, right? But you see my point. But you get the knack of a thing through repetition, through practice. So it's like that Mahadasi. Just you have to keep practicing, and sooner or later, you see. So you begin to not sabotage yourself, right? So you begin to see from practice that, okay, I can't do this manana with the TV and watch the TV at the same time. I can't do my manana while I'm sitting there eating. You follow what I'm saying? You start figuring it out. You start saying, oh, I'm trying to do manana under conditions that's not even favorable to manana, right? I got to change that. Well, the mystic had already done told you what to do. Go find some solitude in some place quiet. But you don't listen. You really don't, you know? You see? You can only sit on that toilet stool in the washroom for too long. You know, it hurts, right? Do you understand? You can't kick back in the bed and manana come. Are you with me? You have to be proactive. Are you with me? And so the mystic tell us all of these things, right? You see? You can't do it, and you ain't been up, you ain't had but 1 hour of sleep, and you go out, you ain't gonna do no manana. The brain ain't even working clear enough. Are you with me? So all of these things have been dealt with. I'm sure you're familiar with them. And that's what you have to do. You have to do that. But before you would do that, you have to see the necessity and the importance of doing it, otherwise you ain't going to do it. You see? Because the ajna, the ignorance covering your faculty of understanding is so obscured with ignorance, and you can't even see the necessity of that. You see no necessity in preparing yourself for the inevitable experience of death, dying, and the loss of everything you call in mind. You don't even see the point. You see my? Don't even see the point. And initiation don't change none of that in and of itself. Are you with me? Are we living proof of it? I mean, we've been around, ain't we? This is not something we started yesterday having conversations like this, right? If you think it is, just look at blog archive of tapes, workshops. You see? All of this been gone over, right? To what degree are you sitting here still feeling that it's not necessary for you? Consider that. You see? Consider that. That somehow you're going to be exempt, as if there's something special about your body. There ain't nothing special about your body. You see? It's like anybody else's body. It's going back to its fundamental form, dirt. So, right? That's how it is. That's how it is. I'm thinking about an African tradition, as you all know, they are saying that everything that you're accumulating and all of this stuff you see is worthless. The only thing that you have to be focused is on how did you use this body-mind thing while you had it? What did you do with it? Really? And they said that if you have not lived your life in such a way that you have contributed to the diminishment and the suffering of other people that you are interacting with, you have wasted this whole life. Some of the radical mystics goes further. They say if you have used this life in such a way that you did not become sukunkara, you have wasted it. If you have not become happy, you have wasted it. Wasted it. That's profound, isn't it? Right? So these are things that those of you who are staying overnight particularly have an opportunity to do, you see? And as well as those who came for the meditation, hopefully you have heard something that may move you to do a retreat, and it don't have to be at the Karma Life. Are you with me? And you have to be able to retreat to some degree on a daily basis. Time has to be set aside, designated time, you see? If there's a park near you, that'll do. If, you know what I mean? A room, it's when you are focused, you become creative, very creative. You find ways to get things done that you really see the need and necessity of doing. Are you with me? And that's the truth, you see. I remember I was trying to learn. It's a strange thing. My biggest complaint, I had a grievance with Bob Nathan. You see my point, right? Because, I was not sponsored, and I feel he did a good job, but I still had a grievance with him, after he gave me all this stuff and, all these books and spent time talking to me. You know what I mean? And convinced me that, you should seek initiation, right? And after initiation and things of that nature, right? And we're given the methodology, right? The Simmer, same thing, right? And so, I'm doing this Simmer, and stuff like that. I'm writing in my hand. I got little pieces of paper. I got stuff stuck on the wall. When Emmy them was little girls and they would come to my office over at the Hamilton Lamp, they'll see all of the parts on the wall got Simran wrote, Simran. What is this? And then eventually I had a complaint with Nathan. I said, I can't turn this stuff off. This this is the problem now. How do I, but show you how stupid I was, right? All of us has done something spiritually stupid like that. Are you with me? Couldn't turn the damn thing off. You know what I mean? Which is a problem, because if you're trying to have sex, hey, you got to be able to get some out your mind. You see, some of you ain't having that problem, but that's hard to turn off, right? So I mean, it was a problem, you see, but it's just a learning curve. It's just stuff. See, all of us have to go through what we have to go through. Sometimes you have to lose a thing to know its value, and then if it's ever recovered again, then you don't make that mistake no more. Are you with me? But it's very unique to us, right? And each one of you in here, all of us in here, is not at the same level of jhana. Everybody's at a different level, so you can't really rely on, you know what I mean, a process or a strategy that someone who's on a much different level of jhana than you and think that's going to help you. Are you with me? Or worse, project jhana onto a person that in reality ain't got no jhana. Then you're going to fall into the ditch with the blind, because you're being led by the blind. Are you with me? Yeah. So just because somebody been around 40 years, that don't mean they can see nothing. You follow what I'm saying? But we know a lot of people who after 40, 45 years do not understand the Radhaswami tradition of Sangha at all. At all. Have no understanding. No real understanding. You see? Still lost in fantasy. Still in one of those pitfalls. So, many receive the grace of Diksha. Very few are adinkaran enough to respond to the descent of grace sufficiently. They can't absorb it. They can't absorb it. Too gross-minded. You see, gross-mindedness blocks their ability to absorb grace. And what is gross-minded? Egoic condition. You see, more concerned about how your body looks than how your soul is doing. Are you with me? Focus on the wrong thing. Because the identification with the not self is equal to the pursuit of that which is not important at all, but not having the vivek to discern the distinction between what's important and what is pure bullshit of no significance whatsoever. You see? Are you with me? Yes, sir. Are you with me?
Yes.
So this is the task before you. You see? I wish I could help you. It's not like I don't have sympathy. I have much sympathy, but ain't nothing I can do. I mean, that's your work. You got to go do that. And time is ticking, right? And you certainly got to get out of this illusion of and trap of misidentification to the point of presuming that this person's, the sense of person who you have now is going to survive the death of that body. It is going nowhere. I mean, absolutely nowhere. It's something, right? You see that in Susupti, right? You have no sense of the personhood that you have in now. Is that about right? Mm-hmm. So sometime tonight around about midnight, you'll become a nobody. And it'll feel good. See, right now in your waking state, you're trying to be a somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And it's killing you, giving you no rest. That feeling of self that you have right now won't even survive past midnight. And this body when you go to sleep and have your dream, the body laying up, there's no identification with it whatsoever. You have a different body in the dream, right? Right? So which body are you? The dream body or the one laying in the bed? Or neither? Are both a figment of your mind? Have you considered these things? I mean, really, have y'all considered these things? Well, what y'all been calling manana? What is that? What is your concept of manana? Let me take a student posture here. What have y'all been doing? What kind of, really? How you going? It's voluntary, Gita. I won't be going. I did that one right in the video workshop years ago. I went around the room, but no, really. I mean, you read a book, right? You read in the book, right? It says Saravana Manana Nididhyasana, right? Okay, so what are you doing with that? Can't believe what I'm seeing. What is it? You know, when you say I'm gonna reflect on the teaching card, that's the language you all use on your cooler tapes and stuff. You know, I'm gonna reflect on this here. Or you say, Guru Sahib, that was profound. Okay, well, what are you calling profound experience in terms of hearing teachings? Come on. I got 15 minutes. I got to get out of here.
We don't have 15 minutes.
No, you don't have, y'all got to go.
The lunch people can't go home until they serve us.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you on that note. And maybe next time we come together, you'll have an answer to that. You see? So, we have Prashad?
Yes.
Okay. Roger, you have music for Prashad? No music? Yes. You told me today.
Gone on again.
It's all right. We got the sound of silence.
That's right. Lean on me.
Yes, ma'am.
This is for Baba. And Hicks. That's yours. She got hers. She got hers. Baba got hers. And the mother got hers. So that was yours.
Y'all can sing. We got enough of the rotations in here.
Yeah, that's right.
They can sing a song.
I told him to put a song on the spot.
See?
He's the master.
You got a song?
You got something on this phone.
Well, somebody play a song on the news.
You gotta we gotta allow it. You know what I want to hear instead of that? Take me to the alley.
To the end.
We're gonna go to the alley with, you see, because in some sense, you know, if there's anything about the House of Rod that is really way off track for many of the traditions, is that, you know, they have beautiful buildings and cathedrals and mosques, and we're here and we're on front steps of people's houses, and We even had some satsang in the alley, right? So, right, so that's what you have to do for those of us who have been trapped as a result of so much atrocities, you see, over the course of the last 100 years or so, 400 or 500 years, and even before then. And so grace found a way to break through, right? And met us on the streets, in the parks, and so forth. Not particularly beautiful places, but it still got to us, right? So I thought that this song, actually, Emmy found it.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car
And then you could come. You stand there so that they can hear.
insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Plus, by switching, you can even save.
Hello, this is Gregory Porter, and this is Take Me to the Alley. One mic, one take. Well, they build their houses in preparation for the king, and they line the sidewalks with every sort of shiny thing. But they will be surprised when they hear him say, take me to the alley, take me to the afflicted one, take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their way. Let them hear me say, I am your friend. Come to my table, rest here in my garden. You will have a pardon. You will have a pardon. Take me to the alley. Take me to the afflicted ones. Take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their way. Let them hear me say, oh, I am your friend. Come to my table, rest here in my garden. to the alley. Take me to the afflicted one. Take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost